Alaska Airlines Flight 1282, a Boeing 737-9, tail number November 704 Alpha Lima, departed Portland International Airport for Ontario, California, and returned after a mid-cabin door plug. That mid-cabin door was aft of the wings, departed the airplane, resulting in rapid decompression. Just taking a second on the door plug. When you are a customer, such as an airline, purchasing an aircraft, Boeing would make an airframe, one airframe, which is sold to multiple customers, and the customers will order the design that they need for their operations. This particular aircraft for Alaska is certified for up to 189 passengers, and given the 189 passenger threshold, Alaska would not have to have emergency exit doors at that location in the aircraft. Alaska actually only has on this plane 178 seats. For a higher density configuration, an emergency exit door would have to be on that airframe for anything certified at 215 passengers or 220 passengers. But this mid-cabin door plug, there's one on the left, there's one on the right. They are not operational. What you would see in the cabin if you are a passenger is a window and just part of the cabin. You would not see those as doors unless you are outside of the aircraft. Now, we know that there were 171 passengers on board the airplane with 2 pilots. The captain was flying at the time. They also had 4 flight attendants on board. Fortunately, all passengers deplaned. We are not aware of any serious injuries. We are aware of reports of minor injuries. With that said, I imagine this was a pretty terrifying event. We don't often talk about psychological injury, but I'm sure that occurred here. So on behalf of the National Transportation Safety Board, I would like to extend our deepest sympathies to those that experienced what I imagine was truly terrifying. So today we arrived on scene at 3:12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The first order of business for me was to see the aircraft, outside the aircraft and inside. We then proceeded to an organizational meeting. At the organizational meeting, we bring together everyone that will be part of the fact-finding phase of our investigation and plan out how we intend to proceed over the next several days and the next several weeks. We also took some time to designate parties to our investigation. The NTSB always works in what we call a party process during the fact-finding phase of our investigation. What that means is we bring together technical experts that would have access to all the factual information. They help us gather that factual information. But after the fact-finding phase, it is only the NTSB that does the analysis, develops the findings, develops the probable cause, and issues the safety recommendations. So parties to our investigation are the Federal Aviation Administration, Boeing, Alaska Airlines, the Airline Pilots Association, and the Association of Flight Attendants. Again, they are only part of the fact-finding phase. For example, if we need maintenance records, and again, that's just an example, we would know who to go to, who the technical experts are as part of our party system. Now, I mentioned that John Lovell is our investigator in charge, but with him, We have a number of NTSB staff that have particular expertise in certain areas: flight operations, survival factors and cabin safety, structures, aircraft systems, including pressurization systems. We have a metallurgist here. Our meteorology and air traffic control team is back at headquarters, but is reporting information to us from there. And we have a team for recorders. Now, the recorders will be sent back to our lab tomorrow morning at some point. Again, I mentioned we arrived just around 3:15 this afternoon. So tomorrow is our first full day of our investigation. Today was just the planning phase. So we have a lot of work to do. I imagine I'm going to get a lot of questions about manufacture, design, maintenance, repair, delivery of the aircraft itself. We don't have that right now. Right now, we had to get on scene. We had to organize. We will have more information tomorrow. I expect we'll have a press briefing tomorrow, also the next day, and as long as we need to, in order to provide you and the public the information that you deserve. So with that, I will not speculate on anything as part of the question and answer portion of this press conference. Now, I want to emphasize, because those who are here today will likely ask me questions about safety and our aviation system. Those watching may be curious about safety or concerned about safety. We have the safest aviation system in the world. It is incredibly safe. We are the global gold standard for safety around the world, but we have to maintain that standard. We are very, very fortunate here that this didn't end up in something more tragic. No one was seated in 26A and B, where that door plug is. The aircraft was around 16,000 feet and only 10 minutes out from the airport when the door blew. Fortunately, they were not at cruise altitude of 30,000 or 35,000 feet. Think about what happens when you're in cruise. Everybody's up and walking. Folks don't have seatbelts on. They're going to restrooms. The flight attendants are providing service to passengers. We could have ended up with something so much more tragic, and we're really fortunate that that did not occur here. Now, I would like to take a moment and thank some entities and individuals. First and foremost, I want to thank the Secretary of Transportation. He reached out to me today just to express support and coordination for the investigation. I've been on the phone since this morning, and actually really last night, with the Federal Aviation Administration Administrator, Mike Whitaker. He has been very communicative with us and very supportive of our work, as we have of theirs today. I am very encouraged that they took swift and decisive action to ensure continued safety in our airspace. I also want to thank the first responders, the heroes after such tragedies, the Port of Portland Police Department and the Port of Portland Fire Department did an incredible job. Thank you for all your work. I also want to thank the FBI and the local law enforcement. You may see the FBI here. The NTSB has a memorandum of understanding with the FBI to help us collect evidence. We may need equipment at some points during an investigation, and they help provide that to us. In this case, they're helping local law enforcement locate the door and components that came off the aircraft in flight. But now we need the public's help. We know from looking at radar data, well, at least we believe from looking at radar data that the door is around Barnes Road near I-217 and the Cedar Hills neighborhood. If you find that, please contact local law enforcement. You can also email us at witness.gov. We are active at, I'm so sorry, witness@ntsb.gov. That's again, witness@ntsb.gov. But it would be a help to us incredibly for our investigation if you find that to reach out, of course. We also are looking for pictures and video from inside the aircraft. Again, please email those to witness@ntsb.gov. Now, we will update all of you on future press conferences or updates. Please check our social media platforms and ntsb.gov. So with that, I'm going to take some questions. I will call on you. Please state your name, your affiliation. Please limit your questions to one question. We'll do multiple rounds, but I just want to make sure that others get their questions in. Yes.
Hi there, Jacqueline with ABC News. How concerned are you about the safety of Boeing's 737 MAX fleet?
The question is, how concerned are you in the safety of the Boeing 737 MAX fleet? Our investigation right now is focused on this particular aircraft, and we're early on in the investigation, so we can't make any broad statements about the fleet. But I am very encouraged, again, that the FAA took action to temporarily ground this particular aircraft for inspection and for addressing any potential concerns that were identified through those inspections. Yes?
Amanda Harmon with CBS News. We heard reports about a teenager who was near the hole in the plane when a strip ripped off. You mentioned no one was sitting in seats 26A or 26E. Do you know what seat he was sitting in, or where the nearest person was to the hole?
So the question is, where was the nearest person to this particular portion of the structure that blew out, and whether there was a teenager or an adult near that particular location. That is part of what our cabin safety and survival factors team will determine. I've asked that question myself, but I've gotten different answers. So until we can really factually determine who was where, I don't want to provide inaccurate information. Hopefully I'll have that for you tomorrow. Yes?
How long will it take to inspect the MAX 9s?
The question is, how long will it take to inspect the MAX 9s? I don't have that answer, but FAA could probably provide that answer to you or the airlines themselves. Other questions? Yes?
Will you be examining Boeing's manufacturing process as well, and FAA's oversight of Boeing?
The question of FAA's oversight of Boeing, will we look at Boeing's process for manufacturing this aircraft? At this stage of an investigation, everything's in. We go very broad. Nothing's excluded. So as we are gathering information and looking at the evidence, we could go very broad, or we could hone in to certain areas of the investigation. So it's pretty early on, but we don't exclude anything at this point of the investigation. Yes?
We saw that this plane was certified as safe to fly about 2 months ago. Who does that certification? Is it Boeing? Is it the FAA? Who determined that this plane was safe to fly?
The question is, who determines whether this plane was certified safe to fly? We'll have to look at how it was certified. All we have right now is that it was delivered to Alaska on November 11th. That is information I can provide. Anything beyond that, I don't want to speculate. I want to see it in writing myself and make sure that we answer it accurately.
If I could ask a follow-up, I know you mentioned minor injuries. Do we know about how many people were injured or the extent of the injuries?
The question is regarding the injuries and the extent of the injuries. That's something that local law enforcement will have to provide.
So we've all seen the video, but what's the conditions like inside of a jet when there's, a hole gets blown into it?
The question is, what were the conditions like at the time when this portion of the aircraft blew out?
Or even in general?
Or in general. So, I can describe it how I see it right now. I've seen the same video. I've seen the same pictures. So they're on 26A and 25A, the headrests are gone. On 26A, part of the seat, the back of the seat is gone. There are some clothing items in the area. We can see that the stop portions of the door are still intact on the door. Now, I will say one good thing about this aircraft is there is an identical intact door plug just on the other side. So there's a left one and a right one. We're going to be able to look at the right one, which is fully intact, and see what that one looks like and compare it. In speaking to some who spoke with the flight crew and others, not from our conversations, but I'm relaying what we have been told, that it was a very chaotic scene, very chaotic, very loud, which you can't really hear on the video, but it is very loud. I hope that we're going to be able to provide a little bit more information on what the flight crew itself experienced and the flight attendants experienced during this accident scenario.
Jennifer Homendy from the American Transport Safety Authority speaking there. It's quite a news conference where we've just heard more about this incident in Portland, Oregon in the last 24 hours or so, where the side of a Boeing 737 MAX 9 jet has blown out in the middle of a flight. Jennifer Homendy from the NTSB said that parts of the seats at 26A and 25A had been gone. There were clothing items in the area. She was appealing to residents in the Oregon area, if they find the aircraft door that blew out, please contact local law enforcement. So a startling appeal to the public there. The investigation is getting underway. So the NTSB were on scene around about 5 hours ago, local time. And that investigation will continue, no doubt, into the night and into tomorrow, Sunday, American time. Of course, it's just going or approaching 8:30 at night on the west coast of the United States, where this has taken place. We'll keep monitoring that news conference, bring you more developments throughout the afternoon. We'll also speak later in the program with Jeffrey Thomas, aviation expert with Airline Ratings as well. So we'll stay across that story here on Sky News.